Discord. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. I'll just share my entire desktop. I don't care. Take that, Zoom. All right. Ooh. This box never goes away, does it? With people's mugshots on them. Non-existent mugshots, actually. Oh, there. Ha. Boom. All right, I got that part. You know, every once in a while I can figure something out. So many screenshots. Yeah, right. I mean, sorry. Yeah, I mean, I just do that, right? Like, I mean, this is from like last semester, spring semester studio. This is from your guys, right? Can you think? Oh, this from this last semester. Yeah, yeah. I just stuff all over the place. I need to clean off my desktop anyway. I will. I'll get there at some point. Yeah, right. Yeah. And I'm recording this. Oh, great. Yeah. So don't take file management. Do what I do, not or do what I say, not what I do when it comes to file management, I suppose. All right. So yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and go file, new. All right. So I'm in InDesign, file pull down, new, and document, right? So this isn't probably too far out there for you at this point. I can open things, file open, I can, but there's a recents sort of list as well. And so anyway, I'm just going to say new and document. Document means it's going to be a self-contained multi-page document. It's what I've shown you before. Book is something different. Book is a sort of project that you can open up and then link in multiple documents. So if you have like a big book that you're putting together, you might not put everything all in the same file. Rather, you might work on this chapter as a document, and this chapter over here is a document, or this chapter over here, this section or part, or forward, or appendix, over here in separate documents. And then in a book, you can actually bring all those documents together and assemble them in a book. And that way, you don't have to open up this like 500 bazillion gigabyte file each time you just want to make one little change and wait for it to load everything. And that could get actually pretty cumbersome when you get into something that's book sized, right? So what's nice about that, this is a sort of scalar software and workflow, right? And so again, you can work on images in Illustrator, graphics in Illustrator and Photoshop. You can work on your text in Microsoft Word, spreadsheets in Excel. You can basically just import them in as linked assets into your InDesign document. And that way you can go back if you need to, keep writing that paper or that chapter, or do a spell check. You can go back to Microsoft Word, right? Which is a really nice software. I don't know where I'd be without Word. If I need to change, a line weight, I can go back to Illustrator. Or if I need to turn a layer on or off, or I forgot to erase something in the background of my image, I can go back to Photoshop and change it, re-update, and then when I open up InDesign, it'll sort of see those updates, right? It goes back and relinks that original asset that I opened up in Photoshop and modified, or did some edits in Word or whatever, right? So we'll go through that a little bit today. And so I'm just going to say new and document. Chances are, for right now, you won't have to worry about a book, right? When you're making a portfolio, you could probably just go with document. I wouldn't imagine your portfolio is any more than 20 pages at the moment, if that much. So I'm going to go ahead. It brings up this document, or sorry, this window, this box saying, okay, new document. Here you go, hot shot. What kind of document do you want? And so first of all, it asks you for page size. I don't know why there's custom, tabloid, custom. And then it's also displaying things in this weird unit of picas, which doesn't make any sense to my brain whatsoever. So I'm going to first and foremost change the units to inches, since I sort of know what the heck that even means. And then I can say, do I want it to be portrait or landscape, right? In other words, do I want it to be vertically oriented, 11 inches going in the height direction, or do I want it to be landscape, in which case 11 inches going in the width direction? I'm going to go ahead and pick portrait, as if I was going to put this in a binder or something, right? The number of pages, I'll just leave it at 1 for right now. You can actually add columns and gutters and margins right here. So there are some defaults. I'm just going to leave the columns at 1 and not mess around with the columns for right now. Okay. But again, this is right as I'm setting up a document. I go to File, New, Document. Set those to inches. Make sure that the size is correct. Make sure the orientation is correct. And then for the margins, I'm going to go with something maybe smaller than 1/2 inch. I'll go with 1/4 inch around all sides here. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, right. Of course, you could set that to nothing if you wanted to. But I'll go ahead and just make a 1/4 inch margin, sort of a 1/4 inch sort of offset border around my document. Bleeds and slugs, you don't have to necessarily worry about that at the moment. That would be really important if you were preparing something for mass printing and mass production in the printing business. So I don't think you really necessarily have to worry about that. I'm going to go to preview. That looks about right, right? That's 1/4 inch, 8.5 by 11. Yep, 8.5, and 10, 11. Yep. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hit create. All right. So file, new document, enter those parameters in. Were you guys able to do that back at your computer? Now, if you didn't get the margins correct, or you want to change them afterwards, right? I can always go back here and go to, I think it's file pull down and all the way to document setup here. So I think document setup will have all of these things. Yep. So there's the page size again. I can always adjust that if I need to, right? Number of pages and the starting page. Don't really have to worry about that. There's other places to adjust that. Here are the margins, so I can go ahead and adjust those if I need to. Again, I can turn that preview on and hit OK or cancel. All right. You can see I have my character, so basically my font box up. So I have like text wrap, characteristics, paragraph settings, character settings. Go ahead and just again, I can just click on any of these icons on the right, and it'll pop out that box, and I can go ahead and click this arrows and minimize them back to that. Right here for me, it's the second one from the top. There's one called pages, and it shows literally like pages. Right? And I'm going to click that out. It's going to show you how many pages I have, which is 1. It's also going to show me how many masters I have, which right now I have an A master. And I think right now, believe it or not, 1 is just set to none. Right, so no formatting or anything here. I can actually set the formatting in these master pages and then apply them to further pages down here. This is just like layers, in that if I have a page and I need to add a page, I can go down here, I can create a new page. Same sort of icon as you see in Photoshop and Illustrator when it comes to adding layers, right? I can add a page, keep adding pages here. Oops. Now what happened is I was clicked on the master, and so I added masters. That's no good. Come on, Josh. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete those. Click back out here, right to my page. I'll just add a few more pages. There we go. So I have a cover, and I have the first spread, second spread, pages 2, 3, and 4, 5, last spread, pages 6, 7, or whatever. Okay. I want to be very clear about this, right? I'm in the pages box, right? And it's very, you can click and drag this if you need to, right? Down here are all my pages, my actual pages with content on them. And up here is the actual just sort of list of sort of templates, right? We call masters, right? So sometimes I'll be very, hopefully I should be very careful about sort of saying, let's go to the template, to the master, A master, or the B master, right? If we have more than one sort of template or layout. And make changes there and then apply them back into the pages, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click and drag right now. And I'm just going to click and drag these. I'm just going to make sure that I'm applying these masters. I'm just clicking and dragging out to these pages, right? And what that does is that applies the master that I clicked and dragged to the page that I released on, okay? So just clicking and dragging, click, right? Click, drag, release, click, drag, and then release. All right. And then when I want to go to a specific page, I can double click one of them here in my pages, right? I can see them. And right now it's sort of, I have, what was checkmarked for me was facing pages. So it assumes that the first page will be a cover page, and then the second and third, like each page after that will be part of a spread. So it'll be one of two facing pages, right? With a spine, or what we call in the business gutter in between here, right? So here would be the spine. What we usually do is we usually leave a little bit of extra gutter there if this would actually be bound as a book. And that way, we can actually see, we don't lose like information in the spine. Nothing worse than having to sort of break the spine of your book trying to sort of read text that was carelessly misplaced here somewhere in the gutter, right? So anyway, so let's talk about this for just a moment. The first thing we're going to do, first of all, everybody have document, I hope. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the master. So I'm going to go, again, I'm in this pages box. I see a master. I'm going to go ahead and just click on there. You can see this is highlighted blue. And when I do something here, I'll be doing it in the master. All right. Okay, so in the overall template that I've applied to everything else. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at these rulers and I'm going to decide on a sort of grid to deploy inside this page, so I can begin to come up with a set of rules and a graphic layout that can be sort of make sense and can help me sort of plug in both graphics and text and titles and headings and things like that. Maybe some page numbers, so on and so forth. All right. All right. So and there are automated ways to do page numbers, which is kind of nice, right? So anyway, so I'm in the master page. You can see that it's highlighted blue here. And same as with Illustrator and Photoshop, right? To make a guide, a visual guide, you can see there's one here that's magenta and one here that's violet, right? So the vertical ones are violet, the horizontal ones are magenta. I can click on my ruler and then drag out while clicking. I can drag and then release a guide, right? So in this case, I have a guide and it's just a horizontal sort of guide. So look at this. It's at y equals 2.5 inches, which is perfect, right? So I don't know. Anyway, that's what exactly, at least that's what I was shooting for. Anyway, I can click it and select it and delete it again. So let's think about this. I have 8.5. But I've also, let's say I've taken a 1/4 inch from each side. So now I have basically 8 inches of material here between the left margin and the right margin, right? So 8 inches of page. And so if let's say I could easily break this up into say 4 columns of 2 inches each, right? So let me just think about this for a moment. This starts at 1/4 inch. So if I go to 4.25 over here, that's the halfway point, right? So I just split my 8 inches of page here in between my margins into 2 4-inch columns. And if I do this again, I go, let's say this is starting at 1/4, so 2.25. There, let off there, right? So this starts at 1/4 inch from the 0 point, 2.25, 4.25. I just need a 6.25. Sort of putting these in 2-inch increments, and there's 8.25, right? So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, right? 2-inch increments. Nice. Now, if this isn't exact, I can click on this. You see how they look like they're cyan, right? They're this sort of, aqua, right? And if I click on them, right, I can select them. So now it's a sort of darker blue. You can see over here, it gives you that X position. So if I wanted to be very precise, it wasn't 2.25 exactly, I can type in 2.25 and hit enter. I could type in and select this and then type in 4.25 and hit enter, right? Just make sure that, again, here at the very beginning, right? It's, if precision is key, you want to be precise at the beginning so that everything you do afterwards will have that precision with whatever tolerance you have built in. Okay. And so now I can think about this, let's see, in the other direction, in Y, right? So in Y direction, I have 11 inches of height. I've taken 1/4 inch and 1/4 inch, so now I have 10.5. I don't know how to divide 10.5 equally, except, let's see, 10.5. So if I went with 2-inch increments, I would have 5 5 rows, and then one of them would just have like a 1/4 of an inch extra. So I suppose I could do that. Yeah, maybe. So maybe I'll just do that. I'll just start with that. So I'm just going to go here. We started from 0 to 0.25. So 2.25. Let's try to find 2.25. Now I accidentally released at 2.22. So I'm just going to go ahead and type in 2.25, hit enter, shift it down just a little bit. Again, precision. Now I'm looking for 4.25. Right. .25. At this point, I'll just drag it and then I'll just accept the fact I'll type it in. Okay, click, drag, get to 8.25, release. I didn't quite get to 8.25, so I'll go up here. 8.25, hit enter. Last but certainly not least, go to 10.25. I'll type that in as well, just to be careful. There we go. Now look, 2-inch increment grid is not like a rule or anything, right? I mean, I could just as easily, and I'm going to make a new master here just to show you, right? I could just as easily do, let's say 3-inch increments or 2.5-inch increments or whatever that would be, right? So let's go with 3.25 in this case. So the next one would be 6.25, 9.25, and then maybe we have a little bit extra at the bottom. Sorry, can you guys see those text things popping up on my screen?
I don't think so. I mean,
okay, good. Okay, it's not. Like people are texting me and then it like pops up on my screen and my phone at the same time. All right. So anyway, it's just to say that there's more than one way to do this, right? And to sort of, again, I made a couple of decisions for you already, like how much I went for a margin on the top and the bottom, left and right. I made those pretty small. I made them uniform all the way around. You're not bound to do that, right? If you have a good idea and it's not that, then feel free to use it, right? You know, I could always think about if I want extra room at the bottom or at the top, thinking about white space, right? In fact, I've seen lots of grid layouts where they have, you know, a column to the left or to the right that's you know, relatively blank. That lets you put a page number or some sort of caption or images, you know, and to sort of compose things in a way that the page doesn't look like it fills up too much, right? So anyway, it's not that I really like this or anything. I'm going to go ahead and just delete this new masters that I made here. I'm going to go back to this one. I'm going to do the same thing over here for the right page. And annoyingly, I guess I have to do this again, 2.25. So it'll be good practice. 4.25, 6.25. Right, so just putting all these things together, 8.25, 10.25. And sound effects always, as always, are optional. So here we have 8.75, so 10.75, 12.75, 14.75. And this one already ends at 16.75, so perfection, right? Again, to zoom in or out, Command minus, Command plus, or I guess it's on the Windows side, it's Control plus or Control minus. And then Control 0 if you just want to fit to screen, so it fits whatever page is to screen, okay? Now we're making these changes in the master. Let's just double check, yeah. All these changes were also made in our pages because we applied the master to our pages. So as we make changes here to our master, we can basically make all of those changes all at once through all of the pages in our document, right? This is the template. We make changes to the template, all of the changes then propagate down to the pages that the template's applied to, right? All right, excellent. That makes me so happy. Okay, all right. So I'm still in the master. What happens if I plop in a title here, and I call this AAE, what is this class? 711L, right? Your studio preparatory, I guess my caps lock is on. Design studio, right? And I go to the great length of sort of, putting in some, this Minion Pro looks pretty terrible as a font. So let's change that. Typefaces. We haven't even begun to talk about typefaces yet, have we? I'll just go with the Helvetica Neue. And I'll go with, condensed. Let's go with bold. Maybe I'll just beef this up. Right. What's this set to 18? All right, maybe that's fine, right? So let's say I was planning on some sort of title and subtitle, right? But I was working accidentally in my master. So look, on page 2, I have AAE 711 Preparatory Design Studio. And on page 4, I also have that. On page 6, I already also have that. I can't select and delete it because it's on the template, right? So really important to remember, sometimes you're working in the template and when you need to work in the document, right? The actual one of the actual pages, right? So templates are great for things that are going to be on the page as guides. These guides, these cyan, magenta, or violet, they show up in InDesign, and you can hide them or show them in InDesign by going to view, and you can toggle them on or off. Guides and grids you can hide or show. They won't print, right? When you export as a PDF, they won't show up as a PDF, right? They're only there in InDesign as a guide to help you sort of snap to and keep things organized, right? Which is very helpful. But in this case, I don't want to put this in the template. I'm going to go ahead and select it, and I'm going to cut it, Control X, and then I can go to, like, say, page 2. I can say Command or Control V and paste it in, right? I can paste that in and move it in place. Now, here's the thing, right? You can make placeholder text, I think. Let's see. Let's see. Like, I wonder if I can make, like, I used to know this. Now I'm kind of dumb. Let's say I wanted to make text that goes across this column here, maybe these 2 columns. Actually, let's go over here with it, right? So what I'm wondering is, will that show up down here? No, okay, no, it won't. It sure doesn't. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my master. Go ahead and delete that text box. All right, so let's talk a little bit about text and placing some graphics. All right, so first and foremost, I don't think this is a huge surprise, right? But there's some tools over here in the toolbar that look very familiar to you probably by now, given that you've worked in Illustrator and in Photoshop, right? We can sort of see some similarities. There's a scale and transform tool. There's a scissors tool. There's a color theme and eyedropper tool, right? And I click and hold. There's a text tool. There's a drawing tool. There's cursor, etc. Right? We also see color for fill and color for stroke, right? When we have shapes in here, vector graphics. All right. So one of the first things I'm going to do, and I just did this a moment ago, right, to make some text. So I can go to the text tool, right, and then I can click and drag and actually make a text box, right? Let's say spanning, let's say 2 columns in this case or whatever. And so let's say actually my idea is to have some sort of title and subtitle here, and then to have some sort of explanatory text here, right? So maybe come on, Josh, here we go. Sorry, I'm not using a mouse either. I'm just using my touchpad on my laptop. I'm guessing you guys can sympathize with that. Sometimes it's not the easiest thing to do. All right. So I have just a text box here. And when I double click inside, it gives me the cursor and I can start to click. Otherwise, right, I can come back out to this cursor and I see the box, or basically the frame. And with this frame, I can begin to change its size. And so then it sort of gives me a different area and different shape to sort of type in, right? I can drag from the left and right, and then tell it exactly how far it can type before it has to wrap to the bottom again, right? I can also give it some properties up here when it comes to, let's see, I think like buffering around the edges and things like that. But for right now, I'm just going to leave it as is, right? I can click this box, and then with this box clicked, I can set what typeface and what type font, or what font size to use, right? So I can begin to set formatting, text formatting for the entire box, everything inside the box. Whereas if I'm selected on the inside, I only change the formatting of text that's actually selected, that actually sort of highlighted, right? So let me just show you here. Let's say I want to stick with, instead of Helvetica, Neue, so I'll use Helvetica for my headings and subheadings. And then maybe I'll switch this up. I might regret this. Let's see. Nice thing is I can always just change it later, right? I'm going to go with Times New Roman regular for my body text. I'm going to sink that down to like a 9 maybe. Yeah, we can see what that looks like. Now, if I want to see what that looks like, I can select this text box and I can go to type. I don't have anything written out at the moment, right? So I'm going to go to my pull down menus, type pull down menu. I have this text box that I made selected. I can say fill with placeholder text. You see where I'm at? Type, pull down, and then at the top of my screen. And then I can say there's a option here called fill with placeholder text. And it gives me that InDesign Latin, I call it. Ga nem corcore sit tore sesus el qui dolore. I don't know. So I'm not going to pretend I can speak multiple languages. I'm pretty dumb. So anyway, all right. And so now I have some placeholder text that I can begin to sort of change and see how things work. Maybe I want to make it full justify except for the ends, right? The end of paragraphs, right? Maybe I need to change the line spacing. Maybe I don't. I don't think that was or the kerning or the leading or whatever, right? Now I can do that all at once because again I have my text box selected, right? And if I wanted to just sort of italicize, let's say 1 or 2 words in here, I could double click in, get my cursor, highlight as something like I would in Word, and then change the formatting here. So I could change that to let's say italic and bold or something, right? Or both, bold, italic, since apparently, right? Okay. So this way I can begin to add. Now, what happened? I had a set of text in here, and I just changed the size of my text box, and now all the text doesn't fit. And it gives me this little red box saying, oh, wait, you have text that won't fit in this text box that you can't see, like it's down here somewhere, right? It's masked out because this is like, the text box is like a mask, right? So what I'm going to do next is this. I'm going to make another text box over here. And if I wanted to continue, here's my new text box. If I want this text to continue the next text box, I can click this red. And you see it saying, okay, do you want to, I have some more text here. Do you want to link it to this? I say, yeah. All right, there we go. And so as I start to change the size here, any text that gets orphaned from this box will then start again in this box, right? And so again, once you start to set these things up, let's say I have a rule. Let's say I have a couple of pages or a book or something I'm doing that's more text heavy, right? And less about sort of images like a portfolio would be. I could begin to start to make columns of text and then have them all link up, right? And that way, when I dump a Word doc in, right, it'll be linked in and then it'll just continue to flow from each box to the next, to the next, to the next until, until I run out of boxes or I run out of text, right? So let me just try that really quickly. I'll just show you how this works, okay? again, I'm going to go, I'm working on pages 2 and 3. I'm just going to go to 4 and 5, and I'm just going to do this really quickly. I'll make a couple of text boxes here. Yeah, I'll put one here. And I'll put one here. And I'll put one here. And also here, just so you can see. I'm not lying to you. I don't think you would accuse me of that, but you know, just in case. All right, so there's a box, there's a box, there's a box, and there's a box. All right. Yep. Okay, cool. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say File, Place, right? This is very similar to Illustrator, right? Remember how we brought in JPEGs into Illustrator? We would go to File and Place, right? It's the same thing in InDesign, right? So if we want to place some JPEGs or a PDF or an Illustrator file and insert it into InDesign, we would go to File and Place. We can use the same thing for text. So File, Place, let's see where this takes me. I will go to my documents. I'll go to, this is not sorted in any way. There we go. Scholarly work here. Let's see. Do I have a Word doc here of? Yeah,
We
sure.
could have lent you a 20-page paper on our architectural history.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Been there. All right. So here, right? So this was a Word doc that I just imported in, right? And you can see it goes off the column, so I can get that red box. Hit the red box, click there. Hit that red box, click here. Hit that red box, click here, right? Okay. Right, so, and then, you know, inside of this, you know, I'd probably need to start to clean some things up here, right? So usually, you know, with a sort of block quote like this, it would actually, you know, it would actually be like that, right? And so on and so forth. But you can begin to sort of clean things up in this way, right? And on and on and on. So let's see here. More text boxes. Let's see how much text I actually wrote for this. Can't imagine. I don't even know what this is. Oh, I had images and figures in here. Yeah, I sure did. Look at that. All right. Sometimes they'll just make a new text box for me. Apparently, I didn't have any endnotes yet in this one. Okay, so that would require some cleanup. So in this, oh, no, here they are. All right. Yeah. Wow, this is a mess. Oof. Yikes. What kind of draft was this? I guess this was very much a draft. I wonder why that never got cleaned up. Now I'm getting like you know how that feeling like, you know, you always have like lots of work to do, and now I'm feeling guilty. Like I should go back in here and clean this up, maybe submit it to something here. Where to go? Here we go. Is it really that messy? No, that looks really clean. What the heck happened? Right. So somehow it screwed up my frame or my formatting here, which is annoying, right? I guess maybe the word endnotes in InDesign don't like each other. I don't know why. Stupid. Anyway, but I can always change that later, right? But okay, so anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and select all that stuff and delete. I don't know why. I always think of demolition, just sort of make the exploding thing. I'll give this a little more room to breathe, right? Okay, same thing. I can begin to throw in some file, or some, not file open, sorry. That'll open an InDesign file. file, place. Let's say I put in some images. So let's see here. I think you guys might recognize some of this stuff. If I go to downloads, date added, date modified, let's see. I sure do. Look at this. Like I started to arrange your guys' axons and grids to post on Instagram and things like that. So here we go, right? I can click this. Let's see what happened. Did that scale? Now look, did it scale? No. The box around this image is just a mask, and I can go ahead and just automatically start to crop with the mask, right? So what happens when I accidentally resize this window and then I didn't actually resize or scale the stuff inside? That's annoying, right? I can right click, okay? And I can say, let's say fitting, right? I could say fit the frame to the content on the inside, right? So if I actually messed up and I wanted to like get the frame back around the same size as the image under inside, or I could say fit the content to the frame, right? Okay, and so I can go ahead and resize this stuff accordingly, right? Let's say I wanted to do that, and I can then say fit content to frame. There we go. Right. Now, if I just select this stuff and I want to click and drag from the side to the corners and scale, I have to come over here to this free transform tool. And then I can scale things by doing that. Otherwise, right? Otherwise, I'm just changing that box, right? The sort of, and look, that'd be really easy to do if I wanted to just sort of crop this to only be one, right? Okay. And then even inside of that, I could move it around and move the content on the inside or inside that frame, right? So just like in Illustrator when we made mask, right? That in InDesign, the frame around an image, a graphic or text is just that, right? The sort of mask. And I can scale the stuff on the inside, or I can change the shape of the mask, right? And size of the mask or frame, right? They call it a frame in InDesign. Or I can do both at the same time by using the free transform tool, okay? But again, so if I get into trouble and I say, you know, I just want to see what will fit in this, right? So I can say right click, fitting, fit content to frame, right? And it did that because, ew, that's gross. Fit content to frame fitting options. Fit content to frame, preview, crop amount. It's weird that it actually like, that it stretched it. I thought it wouldn't stretch it. I thought it would just sort of fit frame proportionally. Oh yeah, fit content proportionally, right? Now it's done it without stretching it, right? So the maximum, the minimum dimension is what's setting the size here, right? That height or whatever. So let's say I go down here and I can right click and say fit content proportionally again. There we are. Looks better. Okay. All right. Maybe I want to actually bring this down here, and that way sort of continue some white space across the top of the spread, right? So that's another option you have, right? Is to think about not only how things read page to page, but across an entire spread, right? The other thing you can think about is where would I put a caption for this, right? So for instance, I have text here, and this text could go on for a while, maybe, you know. And so, you know, what's the rule for putting in a caption? Does it go at the bottom, right underneath an image? Does it go in a sort of a margin or a side column? Does it go above? Could it go above, you know, when that's an opportunity, or, you know, whatever, right? So, so for instance, AA711 Preparatory Design Studio, you might say like, you know, we designed a museum, blah, 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 you know, 10 weeks long, you know, lots of process. But then over here, I would say, you know, process study models of planar components, you know, planar compositions, examining space, landscape, and surface, or something like that, right? Or Rhino and Illustrator studies for, composing space with planes, or, however you want to put it, right? You're starting to learn the lingo and some of that, some of the sort of language of design, right? So I would recommend that you use it. All right. So let's see. Right, I can begin to maybe go on to the next page, set of pages. I'm just going to try to put in some more graphics here, and that way, we can talk about a few things here that might be helpful. So let's go to downloads. What else do I have in here? Let's go to kind, sort by kind, and I'll just try to find some folders here. Let's see here. That's July, May, March. May might be good. Let's see what's in May. Absolutely nothing. Okay. Let's go to the desktop maybe. Ah, here we go. Yeah, this will work. Yeah, those are nice. Right. So I'll just go ahead and select 2 at once to place. It's going to say, okay, I have 1 and 2. I can click and place both of those. These are actually already fit in an 8.5 by 11. Isn't that nice? But suppose they didn't, right? Or maybe we want them to be smaller, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, right? I can click the free transform tool over here. See this one? Right? Then I can click and hold down the shift key. When I hold down the shift key, I can click and drag and resize, and everything stays proportional, so it won't get stretched, which is important. Go from this side and make it fit that. There we go. Do the same thing over here. Just make this 2 inches wide. Now, look, I know that these are 2 inches by 2 inches. So let's say I just wanted to make this 2 inches wide, right? I can do that, just like in Illustrator, right? I can select this. I can see the width and the height. I can also see exactly where it is located. The top left corner is located at 9.54 in the X direction and 1.3437 in the Y direction, which is oddly specific, but whatever. Okay, width, height. I can change the width to 2. Boom, done, right? Okay, no, not exactly, right? So what I need to do is I need to tell it to constrain proportions. And then I can say width 2, right? And then, oh, sorry, 4. That's what I want, because I want 2 columns. So 4. And then what it did is it changed the frame. So again, on the inside here, I can say right click, fitting, fit content proportionally. There. And there it goes. Ah, all right. Let me put in some more graphics here really quickly, just so we have a bunch to sort of play around with, right? Again, let's see, back to that. Aggregate research, what was that? Oh, I know what that was. Let's go to, yeah, I'll just go with lattice. Why not? Just do some weird stuff, just some weird geometry stuff. Yeah, junky. I like that. Let's see what junky is. Yeah, it's junky. All right. Ooh. Yeah. I like that one. Why not? Let's see here. Let me just go to icon so I can see what I'm looking at, not strain. No, that's cropped right there. Must have cropped those for Instagram because they're square already. Let's see, what do we have here? Something that's uncropped. Okay. There we go. It's interesting. These are just, I mean, these aren't even freeform. They're tessellated gyroids or Schwartz D surfaces. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and scale. Hold down my shift button. All right. Go ahead and scale this. Now the question is, where does this thing sit? See how tall it is when I get it that wide. Ooh, that actually fits. Wow, how did that happen? What? Dang, sometimes it just like, I don't know how things work. I just have sometimes I think my life is just magical. Just sometimes these things work out. Again, just making sure these things are snapped perfectly to the guides. There we are. Right. Now, I'm just going to zoom out. You can see a spread, and yeah, I don't know how that looks really. I can go to view, pull down. I can go to my guides and I can hide guides, right? Just to see what things look like. I can hide also, stop it, phone, shut up, phone. Hide frame edges, right? Now I can sort of see what it'd look like if it was, not an InDesign, but, for real. Yeah, okay. So, part of me really doesn't like the sort of unevenness of the heights here. What I'd rather have, and this is just my preference, of course, but, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the frame edges again. Show my ruler, or sorry, show, where are they? Grids, yeah, sorry, so show guides. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to resize this so it's about the same height as this down below, maybe. How did that work out to two-inch increments in both height and, oh, maybe it's because it's a square. That's why. Duh. I'll try to act smarter, I guess, for the rest of the day. Anyway. And so let's see. Yeah. Maybe I even try to go down to this. Again, I'm inside the page itself, so I can click and drag a guide. That's just going to be in the spread to sort of see where the tops, make sure the tops are actually even up. Now, maybe in here in the gutter is where I can place a caption, sort of saying to the left, colon, let's see, what do we call this? Freeform surfaces from, solving for the X, Y, and Z coordinates using some trig and a little bit of calculus or something, right? And then on the right, an aggregation of gyroid units stacked in a grid configuration or something like that, right? And so, I could begin to sort of, again, I can just do that really quickly. Let's see. Let's do it like this. I could say left, geometry catalog of surface typologies that self-intersect. Right. Schwartz D gyroid patches ordered within a three-dimensional grid or matrix. I like that, matrix. Don't say matrix enough. It's a pretty cool word. All right, so let's see here. And of course, this breaks all my rules, so I need to, turn this to Times New Roman. And since this is a caption, it's going to be even smaller, so it'll be like 8 maybe. And the question is, do I want it over here all the way to the gutter? I would suggest I don't. And so maybe in this case, I go with paragraph, right justify. Slide it over. Let's see here. What does that look like? The other thing I can do is I can fit the frame to the content, or I can just sort of slide this up and sort of put it down here. See what that looks like. That's starting to look a little better, right? So again, make some rules, right? Don't decorate the page unless you're just decorating with useful information, right? Don't be afraid to have empty space, right? In fact, you know, I'm making a statement here and saying the top, it's going to be wasted blank white space, right? Negative space, right? And you know, maybe there's a rule. Maybe I put the captions here, right? Maybe I put the caption here and here, right? So maybe on either page. You know, again, I can start to make rules for myself, right? That one would go left, that one would be right justified. I can get rid of the description for the right side over here and the left side over there, right? You know, what's also is interesting is I can say go from the bottom up. How do I do that? I have to think about that for a moment. Let me right click on these and say arrange, transform, fitting. No. There's left justify, but I want to sort of go from the bottom. How do I do that? Space after? No. Maybe it's under the wrap settings space. No, guess not. Justification, hyphenation. Hyphenation is one thing we can turn off. It'll automatically hyphenate things. It's annoying. All right, I can just click it here. Shading border, let's see. Oh, where'd it go? Oh. Paragraph rules. All right, I'll more on that later, I guess. I'll have to figure that out. For right now, I can always go and say, right click and say fit frame to content. And I can slide this down. Right click, fit frame to content, slide this down. So at the bottom always sort of lines up with this grid line, let's say. So again, let's see, hide rulers, hide frame edges, hide grids or hide guides. Yeah, it's starting to come together a little bit, right? It's kind of weird that these have a sort of wider margin than that, but I'd have to fix that later, right? So again, thinking about those rules, right? And thinking about the size of things, right? Emphasis. Again, the same rules apply as a drawing as it does to any graphic composition, right? This sticks out because it has color and everything else is black and white and grayscale, right? Automatically it's going to get emphasis, right? What happens if I did this? Boom, even more so, it's huge, right? Okay, what happens if I do this? Let's do it this way. Sorry, let me turn my guides back on. I want to fly blind here. Let's see. Extra, show frame edges. There we are. So for instance, what if we did something like this? And I have multiple things, place. Let me just place a few things on here at once. Just select, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7. Yeah, that'll work. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right. So I'm going to take each of these and I'm going to make sure that they're scale them to 2 inches in width. 2. 2. I'm going to make a grid of images. 2. Oh, okay. Never mind. That was right. I need to be more confident, stop second guessing myself when I'm recording here. All right, 2. All right, so a couple of things here, right? I never actually scaled to the inside. So I'm going to say fit content proportionally. And maybe I'll just blow it up a little bit, right? Just want to make this frame 2 by 2 and then fit. Fill frame proportionally. There we go. Just do this, make a grid. Fitting, fill frame proportionally. So part of these images are cropped. That's fine. Fill frame proportionally. First of all, am I adhering to any kind of color theory? No, right? So I would never like put all of these things next to each other like this without any margins in between. But just for the sake of argument, let's just put it here really quickly. All right, fill frame. Okay. Now, if I have something that's really busy, right? Where have I given emphasis? Here, right? Because it just be due to size, right? So again, going full page, right? Or full spread even, you could do, right? We'll add emphasis in places as opposed to having small sort of, grids of thumbnails and sort of serial studies or whatever, right? Whether they're sort of vector-based graphics here, I'm sure we can all appreciate Bohr's minimal surface and, the sort of 4 different transformations of a Morin surface, which is basically just a sphere that's folded in on itself. And, the Catalan surface and, yeah, anyway, but, or a grid of images, right? Either way, right, you can begin to sort of think about, well, what do I show? How much do I show? How much time do I want a viewer to look or to spend on this graphic versus this one, right? To also think about balance across a layout, right? So again, I'm not saying that I'm doing a particularly effective job in any of these, but I'm just sort of, laying some things out quickly, right? One way to think about this is, to think about it as 2 halves, right? Column and a column, or rows, a sort of row and a row, right? Sort of thinking about the page sort of split in half. And then within each of those, then you could have sort of smaller variations on the inside, right? Again, adhering to the sort of grid of 2 inches by 2 inches, or even 1 inch by 1 inch, right? When you need it. Okay. All right. So again, how we started is we made a new document. We adjusted the unit type. We adjusted the size. We adjusted the margins. We went into the masters, right? And we created a grid. We established some sort of ordering system, in this case, a grid, right? That could be applied to each successive page in our portfolio. Then we started to plug things in, right? So, here I'm just establishing rules. I don't even have the text yet, right? But I'm sort of thinking about title, right? Here's the first thing I read, right? Then if I have time, I'm going to start to read about the details of, okay, let's hear more about this preparatory design studio, right? Maybe your portfolio not only gives the name, but also summer 2021, or let's say June to August 2020, or whatever, right? So you can begin to think about, that kind of stuff, right? What kind of information do you want to give somebody so that they sort of can understand a little bit of the context around what they're looking at, right? This is my very first project, right? So 2021, that's an important year, right? As you keep going, right, in chronological order, sometimes you go in reverse chronological order and put your strongest thing first, or, there's lots of different ways to sort of think about portfolio, right? One is to sort of think about showing your early work and then how you progressed, and then how you, another is to sort of say, start and end on the sort of strongest things, right? So put a strong project at the front, strong project at the back. There's no necessarily right or wrong way, but it's sort of, coming up with your idea, executing it, and then evaluating it with its strengths and weaknesses. Okay. So let's see, I'll place some more things in here. It's been a while since I've organized my computer. Terrible. You guys want to see some of the work I did when I used to work in an office?
Yes.
This was a hospital edition in Brooklyn, Kings County. Those are all precast panels. Let's see. This was in Istanbul. Let's see. We had models. These things. Let me see if I can find a couple of decent. Those are study models. Those are crap. Massing. Let me just go to maybe this one. Yeah, this was the awesome model. And then a couple of sort of watercolored renderings. We paid people a lot of money to do these renderings, these artistic renderings. Now we can just sort of click the render button and screw around in the office. This was an awesome model, by the way. So this was all laser cut museum board. Then we actually had custom cast resin underneath that for the glass. And we put LEDs inside so we could actually make the model light up. It was tight, nasty. You can see this is a tiny photograph. Oh man, I'm sorry, I don't have. You can see this sort of olivey, sort of that's the resin. And so then we could actually turn on the lights. It was sick, nasty. I mean, just absolutely gorgeous. Here we were. This was like Form Z, like early stuff before Rhino. That girl, don't just make the glass green. Don't do that. We look at this now and sort of cringe. Yeah. Anyway, I was going to actually use some of this to put in there. This is a big complex. I was going to go in Istanbul, Turkey. And then right at about 90% design development phase, the Turkish economy collapsed and it got put on hold indefinitely. I don't think it ever went any further. We had a nice drawing set going for it, though. We were actually looking at taller parts at one point. I'm glad we didn't do that. So let's see here. Let me just place a few of these. Click, 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 and click, and click. How many did I select? Okay, there we go. Finally done. All right. Ay, ay, ay. And so, right, I could begin to, let's try to find a way to arrange these. But again, I'm thinking, oh, I accidentally hit rotate instead of scale here. There we go. I'm thinking sort of 2-inch sort of modules here, maybe. So, sorry, 4-inch, 4-inch. So yeah, I think I'll go with that. I'm just going to turn all of these to 4 inches and I'll recompose them and then make sure that they're sort of fit and filled correctly. Except maybe that one. Let's see how many I have here. 1, 2. Right click, fit content proportionally. Right click, fit content proportionally. Oops. Right click, fit content proportionally. Fit content proportionally. All right, so how many do I have? 1. Oh, I forgot this one. Let's see here. Fit content proportionally. So it's a lot of practice, just like everything else. You start to get the muscle memory down. over time. Let's see if I can get these things somehow tamed into a better looking block of stuff here. Then maybe for emphasis, right, I take this over overall one. And you know what? That's going to be 8 inches across, right? So 8-inch width. Now you notice, you see the circle when I have my cursor over this? If I click the circle, I'm selecting the content, the actual image on the inside that's being masked by the frame. So you can see that the image itself is actually larger than the frame, because I haven't done the fit yet. I can go ahead and sort of, again, resize it and move it around within the frame if I need to here, right? So now let's go with that. Let's try to line these up. I was thinking some sort of like horizontal band. Let's click of stuff. Maybe it's not exceptionally interesting, but maybe. Oh, here's an idea. An even better idea. If these could actually fill one of these, let's see. There we go. Now here we go again, right? We have layers, right? Do we have layers in InDesign? I'm not sure if we do. Yeah, we do. Heck yeah, we do. We have layers. But oftentimes, because we have so many pages, we're not just working on one artboard like in Illustrator often. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this image, the larger image. I'm going to right click, and I can go to arrange. And I can just say bring to front, right? So I can send something to the back, right? Sort of the lowest sort of layer of trace paper or the highest layer of trace paper, or forward or backwards. So I'm going to say bring that to the front, and I'll just get rid of those others, right? This actually looks kind of redundant to me, a couple of these. So let's move these away, and I'll just pick and choose which ones this one and this one are practically the same thing. I kind of like that one. I'll move this one over here, right? So also you can't include everything, you don't want to bore people to death, right? You have to be selective. And so I really want electronics course we can learn to do lighting safely. So there we go. Now maybe I can always sort of play around with this grid, based off of what I was doing before. Maybe I want to sort of think about keeping the top sort of lower. And then if I have any extra text, I can put it up here, or any captions, things like that, right? Okay. What's interesting is just like when we use the eyedropper tool for things, right? Watch this. I am too large. Hi, I am too large. Sorry. I can take the eyedropper tool and I can, oops. Oh, crap. All right, maybe I was wrong. I can select this text, double click, and then double click again to select it all. And I can use the eyedropper tool. I can find text over here. Oh, what is it not doing? There we go. So I was able to select a bit of text in here and then change its properties to be like that, okay? Another way of doing that is going to window. I think there's character styles and let's see. Yeah, character styles and paragraph styles. So I could make a character style like, here's a character style for body text. Here's a character style for a heading. Here's a character style for a caption, right? And that becomes really handy. You can see it got some things from Word, from that Word document that I inserted in. So I'm going to just go ahead and get rid of those strays. So I'm going to say character style 1. And in here, I'm going to say title, heading. Let's see, heading. Title, right? So I'm going to hit OK. Let's see, create a new style group, create a new style. How do I apply heading style, new group from style, heading. How do I, there's a way to do it so that I'll take this, maybe I select this and then do it. Character style 1. Let's double click on there. Heading. So I selected the text first. Let's see if this new style I made actually has Helvetica Neue size 36. Yeah. All right. Registration. Yeah. Underline. No. Okay. So now if I came here and wanted to change that to the heading, right? Okay. I could do this and I could say, click a new one and say subheading. Okay, right. I could click in here and select a bit of the text, and I could then hit a new character style and say body text, right? The sort of, prose and written in paragraph format, body text, right? It's just sort of helpful to be able to just sort of read it in line to line, right? Okay. Let's see here. Let me just change this to something smaller, like 6. All right, I'll go ahead and select a portion of this, go to my character styles, wherever those are, paragraph styles, character style, okay. Hit plus, I'll call this caption. Here we go. Right, so now when I say, oh, this is too large, right, this is a caption, I could format it automatically as a caption. Oops, whereas in, wait, oh, character style, sorry. As a caption, or as body text, or as a subheading, or as my title heading title, right? Okay, so that's another way to sort of keep these things organized, right? You make rules, and then, it becomes really helpful. You just don't deviate from the rules unless you absolutely have to, right? And so, right, you set things up for formatting, and then you can just sort of, make life easier for yourself. This is, I guess, the point here. Right. Okay, that was again a lot. The intention here is tomorrow, we'll look at and continue to develop your portfolios, right, for your 711L project, right? So your studio. So you might have the framework already started with the grids, right? You start to plug things in. We can start to talk about typefaces, but I guess, tomorrow during the morning class, it's intended to just be like, do stuff, and I'm there to sort of help out and take a look at what you're up to and just lend a hand and give you some feedback. Okay. All right. And then any extra work you do outside of class time, I assume you're just spending on studio in addition to studying for your history final, right? Is that fair? I hope. The history final better be good, because I'm giving Janet a lot of leash here. All right, so anyway, sorry, my eyes. I'm so hungry, like my stomach's growling. Now the question is, do I go to the poke place next door, or do I just get like a sandwich or something instead? There's also an In-N-Out. Yeah, the poke sounds good. They actually have pretty good Korean chicken bowl, which sounds delicious. I might go with that. It's been a while since I've had that. Okay, yeah, poke always sounds good. I agree. I don't know if Bowlology, that was across the street. I don't know if that's still open or not. I can't tell what's made it through the pandemic anomaly and what hasn't yet. Looks like Smashburger went away. Yeah, the chicken bowl is pretty good, isn't it? Takes a little while, but it's worth it. Worth the wait.
Hey Josh, I have a technical question on Adobe InDesign, like the way the formatting.
I'm gonna stop